All right. So this is Nate O'Reilly with the DevSecOps Dojo, and something that I have been doing for quite some time now, since 2020. I started this DevSecOps Dojo where basically we find ways to learn more skills and ways to make our skills more valuable. And so, we started the dojo with the idea of how about we learn cloud by building our own cloud? And now we built our own cloud. So since we built our own cloud, then we're going to learn how to make something like a cloud valuable. So let's ask that question. How do we make cloud or code skills valuable? Well, there are a number of ways to make skills valuable. If you can make money on it, then that's value. And if you can get someone to hire you on it, that's value. So obviously, if you want to get hired as an engineer, obviously that's value, if based on what kind of salaries can you get. And working in DevSecOps, sure you can make six figures, but why stop there when you don't have to stop at six figures, right? Now, it's the DevSecOps Dojo was originally built for practitioners, and as a result, because we built the DevSecOps Dojo for practitioners, people who are either, you know, uh, more like senior level at companies, or running companies, or entrepreneurs, people starting companies, that sort of person. Because the DevSecOps Dojo is filled with that type of personality, it's become a lot more beginner friendly as well. So folks who are trying to learn how to get into cloud and things like that to become a practitioner and things like that, so you can become that sort of a person uh, through time and experience and practice and trade and all that good stuff. You can come to the DevSecOps Dojo, and we are coming up with different ways to make it a little more beginner friendly. But the first commitment that I have is to the practitioners of the dojo, because that's why we started the DevSecOps Dojo to begin with. So, who cares if we know how to build a cloud from scratch or from ground up, or if we know how to code or whatever it is. We want to know how to make those skills actually matter, right? So one of the things that I like to do, so bear with me here. We built the Underground Nexus. And this is a cloud that is both built and managed by DevSecOps Dojo members. So it's pretty much a community built cloud, community managed cloud. And we do run services from it. And right now we are teaching members how to take, like, okay, so you built a new technology, you built this new community cloud. Everyone who's been following in the process knows how the cloud was built, how the cloud was started, all the way from the blueprints, all that good stuff, the original whiteboards, all the way to having a fully working product that we can take to market. But how do we take a product to market that's like, okay, so we have some server. How do you get someone to want to buy a server? What can a server do? A server can do so many things that trying to get someone to buy it is like, hey, do you want to buy a server? Well, does someone even need the server? Is it going to take up too much space? Maybe it might be cool that someone has a server, but do they have, why would someone buy anything? For the most part, people don't just buy things. If you tell someone that, like, hey, I made the most powerful server in the world and it only costs $10,000, no one is going to necessarily buy your $10,000 server just because you made it and it's amazing. You have to know, like, okay, so who's going to buy this thing? And it kind of comes down to technical folks oftentimes are not the types who know how to necessarily turn, like, let me just put it this way. Technical folks aren't usually the salesy types, which usually means that if folks who are good at the technical and making something like some cool cloud like the Nexus, like folks like me, if I had to completely eat off of cold calls, then I will doom us all. And all the companies I've ever tried to run would fail into dust, and everything would have failed a long time ago. Not all of us are gifted at being like salespeople. And then technical people kind of run into this challenge of I'm just going to recommend technical people don't have to be starving artists, but they can become starving artists. But we're going to say technical. So if you're really technical and you're the inventor sort and you don't want to just be like an engineer who works, maybe you're making six figures and maybe you're working at a company that maybe you even like the company, but engineers generally also know that if you try to just make your own thing and you are, taking care of a family or just trying to live your life, like resources don't grow off of trees and the bills got to get paid somehow. So oftentimes it's easier to get like an engineering job rather than generate your own money. So then that begs us the question of what if a technical person, how could it be easier for a technical person to generate their own money and not be salesy? But more interestingly, what if you want to learn how to increase your income? Because ultimately, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to be that person who builds a big platform, and maybe you can build a platform. If you can build a big platform by yourself, then that means you can probably work with something like AI. Because for the most part, working with AI to understand data science, tracking analytics, is probably not all that far off from what you're already familiar with as a technical person. So there's some things that can make it a little bit easier to bridge the gap between, hey, I know super technical things, to how can I make more money with my technical skills? And then how can I use my technical skills to work with things like, well, let's get right into that. Is what if you could use AI to be your uh, sales help? So, what if you could use AI to be your sales helper? So, it's kind of a little bit of going from the idea of kind of what almost sounds like running ads, but kind of putting that model on steroids and blowing it up into something that's kind of terrifying that most people would shy away from. But for those technical types out there, this might even be exciting and not just like overly complex. For someone who's not extremely technical, this is probably gonna be a turnoff. Uh, and some of you might find that maybe you didn't realize you were technical and you're like, oh, this is actually fascinating. And I want to get into like data analytics and learning how to use data and analytics to grow your income, right? So I'm going to be doing this for a while. So this is just one stream of what's going to be a series. I actually already started it on Friday. So if I go all the way back, if anyone is in the Facebook group, I'll be releasing some of these Friday on the Edge trainings a little later when we do these. But I started a session where I'm talking about making a living on your own services that you make. We were talking about Dojo made cloud, got the Underground Nexus. We're launching our own Dojo made services. We're DIYing everything that we possibly can. We talked about some future incoming things that we're doing. And one of the things is that we DIY pretty much almost everything, whether it's DIYing our own cloud, DIYing our own consulting services, DIYing our own dispatching services. And with all of this stuff going on, that does mean that there's a lot of hands on deck and a lot of people involved now, and people got to eat, and we can't just have people starving. And so now it's really important for us to talk about this project, a series of projects that we've set up. Is the dojo is about all these individuals who come to the DevSecOps Dojo to learn how to take their skills with technology and development and security to build a vision of your own that with your own ideas you can turn that into some form of income. And then if you are a technical person, how basically you can DIY everything from your sales pipeline to your print pipeline if you wanted to do 3D printing, or if you're trying to run a SOC, or if you're trying to destroy the talent gap with training systems that are automated, or if you are trying to master remote things, website migrations, all kinds of stuff. Technical folks have these crazy powerful skills, and the DevSecOps Dojo is filled with a number of you, or all of us in Dojo are some unusually talented people, a lot of us. But then we all, as technical individuals, and sometimes the most technical individuals out there, might not actually know how to translate those technical skills into either closing the job. And so then that brings us to where we are in this idea of using AI to be your sales helper, and letting your technical superpowers be what improves your sales superpowers. Now, this is something that, once again, is for people who like the sort of thing, who are technical, who want to play with lots of data. So, who are you? If you're going to be following this with me, is you probably like data, lots of big data. So if you like big data, then this might be for you. If you are a person who just loves automation, then there's lots of automation, which, if you're a developer, you're not going to freak out if the idea of automation means there might be scripts involved, building custom triggers, dealing with APIs, probably combining APIs with insight tagging systems, taking something from Facebook and bringing it to have a Google AdWords uh, system all working over a shared pixel with Google tagging that goes over to LinkedIn. I mean, this is where, for the wrong person, this is going to be a nightmare. For the right person, this is going to be maybe like the most exciting way. Whether you're trying to just increase your company's income, uh, so maybe your goal is to, or you're just trying to make side income. So increase your company's income. So if you're an entrepreneur, or maybe you just started a product and you've been trying to figure out how to convert sales, and that's just not the world you come from, and you're like, I just, actually, this would be a new color. Let's make this. Yeah, so either you're trying to increase your company's income, or you're just that type of person who wants to uh, or you're the type who wants to automate a side income. So that sort of a thing. I mean, realistically, it could also just be that you literally just want a fun way to learn AI. Well, it's not even basics. It gets it'll be, in the beginning. I'll be talking about basics, but it'll get a little more advanced as we go. So, for people who want to get into AI, one of the reasons why I'm doing this in particular is because I'm trying to teach based on things that I'm super familiar with. I'm really personally only super familiar with cybersecurity technologies and automated sales funnels that are AI based. So I have a lot of experience with machine learning, AI, and cybersecurity in particular. So if I'm dealing with like data science and I want to deal with big numbers and massaging metrics, I'm really good at building automation ecosystem pipelines, all that good stuff. So the Underground Nexus is a tool that has all of the resources that I use for my development just sort of like built in there. Not just me, but the folks of the dojo. So if there's someone who's been in the dojo who's like, oh, I really generally like to use this tool, then that generally ends up in the Underground Nexus. So the Underground Nexus very much so is like, someone in the dojo uses this tool, boom, ends up in the Nexus. Someone else in the dojo uses this tool routinely, boom, that ends up in the Nexus too. So it's got things like Kubernetes, and you can use tools like Grafana and Kubernetes to build additional AI triggering for sales pipelines. But we won't get into that today. So, uh, what I'm going to say for now is we'll get into more later. So, I'm just going to say we will get into more of this later, and you can follow me in the next upcoming weeks if this sort of lesson interests you. And I guess to kind of give you a precursor as to what exactly am I going to be talking about. And if you're chatting with me, apologies, I'm not paying attention to the chats right now just because I'm just kind of getting into stuff. So some things that we'll be getting into is what we're going to work with things like insight tagging, uh, audience, pools, and lookalikes. Okay, so I just wrote out a couple of things here, and so we'll see if these are items that seem to interest you. I guess I'll make these different colors. Why not? So yeah, so some things that we'll be getting into as I do this is if you are interested in things like automating sales efforts, conversion optimized landing pages, it's technically a sensor, audience pools and lookalike systems, things like that, insight tagging, and then ultimately the primary goal of this is you don't get a certification at the end of this, you get money. So I don't really like doing certifications, so I'm just no certifications. Your certification for learning this is profit. So, like, I live by this. If I don't know this stuff, my family starves and it's a really bad situation. So, like, if I don't know these things, then I'm in a bad place. I've been selling off of automated systems for a while now, and I've been lately starting to help others do it. In the past, I used to just kind of help people with security stuff, and then this is kind of my own side things that I used to do for income. And then it just kind of became what I did for income, really, especially like 2017 is when I pretty much started living off of this sort of format for how do I generally like grow my income? How do I grow how much I earn? Because the thing is, it works while I'm asleep. It works while I'm doing other things. If I'm sick, it's still working. It works regardless of how I feel. It works regardless of whether or not I'm on vacation. And for me, I'm also disabled. And so I have to have reliable systems for like, if I sometimes I'm sick for like months. So if I'm like super sick for 3 months straight and I really can't, am just kind of like a potato and can't really do much. If I don't have an automated system in place that automates my income, for me, I'm doomed. For other people that you can work. Most people are going to be sick for like 3 months straight. And you like, so for the rest of you, this is just like you can make money fall from the sky if you get really good at it. For some of you who might have different limitations and things like that, this is just another way to make income if your income options are limited. For me, my income options are limited. So for it just kind of depends on who you are. Maybe you want to make more money. You got limited options. Doesn't really matter. But the point being is that this is a great way, especially for I should say, like you kind of already have to have money for this, and it's kind of more built for people who are at a point where you can afford to drop like at least $500 a month, and it's not a big deal. If 500, if spending five like a hundred, spending $100 a month is a lot to you in this time, then maybe focus on building other parts of income and get to a point where that's not such a big deal, because this format of building income does cost money. So if you don't have at least 500 to spend, then you're probably not going to get to a point where realistically, like $600 to spend to kind of get to a point where you can make some money off of this general format if you did it perfectly the first time. But if you're learning, you're just going to keep losing money till you get it. So this is not like a cheap thing to learn. This is actually very expensive. So I just want to put that out there so that folks aren't like thinking that they're going to have some really free lesson. But for this is the way that it's free right now, is even though the method I'm teaching costs a lot of money, I'm going to make these lessons free, and that'll help soften the blow a little bit. And then you can join the DevSecOps Dojo, and I work with folks directly as well. And this stuff that I teach, we have DevSecOps Dojo members who do this stuff. And so we do have members who are doing different things. So like, for example, if you check out my YouTube channel, NATO is Code, you will notice that there's this 24/7 stream that has Randall's cybersecurity challenges. I guess if I go over to that stream, I can just kind of show you what that is. So let's see, let me just get this link here. I should have linked this in the description. Maybe I'll add it to the description at some point. But if you go over to my NATO as Code YouTube channel, there is a 24/7 stream that is a security operations center. It is powered by a number of tools that run inside of the Underground Nexus. And Randall Massey of Cloud Underground is about to release the next cybersecurity challenge. So if you have not done this week's cybersecurity challenge, then you can come over here and check out the cybersecurity challenge. And then we are about to start re-releasing things like Raspberry Pi cases, because we do have Jordan Anderson, who manufactures our systems and also does our data center infrastructure engineering, all that good stuff. He is about to be releasing custom Raspberry Pi cases that are going to be more massively produced than what we've done in the past, for those who are looking for that sort of a thing. But also something else that's interesting is for companies who need the kinds of skills that folks like Randall Massey show here. So if you're a company who needs things like a SOC, we have an entire dojo of people who can do things from helping automate your sales processes all the way to building you things like a SOC. DevSecOps. The DevSecOps Dojo is about teaching the skill to make things. If you're a developer, where your stuff is secure up front. So anyways, you can check out our services that we are building and things like that, because I am pushing the members of the DevSecOps Dojo, for better or for worse, to make money on their own skills and to take their most valuable superpowers and go increase their value by helping deliver their own custom services with this cloud that we made, so that us spending all this time learning how to build a cloud all straight from scratch, building this cloud from scratch, scales across. We just got our 5th location for the DevSecOps Dojo cloud that we build as a dojo together. Um, our services are available on cloudunderground.dev. So if you check out cloudunderground.dev, we do have a free cloud data center. It's the Underground Nexus here. You can see that it has a free download option. And if you need a consultant, then our consultants, they can do anything from help you with whatever automation, whether it's automating cash flow or if you're trying to manage security. Those are 2 of the more critical things that you might care about. But anyways, these are some of the things that the DevSecOps Dojo has been up to. So whether you're trying to be a DevSecOps Dojo member who's trying to learn how to grow your skills, grow your own value, and be a person who's building services and providing services with your coding skills, and be that person all the way, whether it's with just you or maybe you meet some other people and do it with the team that you build, who knows, or if you are trying to be someone who needs the services from our members, then we also have services for those who are looking at our stuff. So check out what the DevSecOps Dojo members have been working hard on. Come talk to us if you're ever curious about if you need some professional services consulting. There's a new Underground Ops managed service provider that's coming out. We are setting up a recruiting service as well. So the DevSecOps Dojo members will be doing recruiting for folks as well. So there's a lot of good things going on. So anyways, thank you everyone who has checked out the stream. And yeah, I don't know. This is what we do. We just build things all day, whether you're just trying to learn, whether you're trying to build a business, no matter what you're trying to do. So